Hello and welcome to Around the Hoop, the Westwood basketball show. I'm your host, Mike Gay. In today's season finale, we are going to be joined by the coaching staff. Not all of them, but most. And we're going to start with the girls' side. So welcome, Catherine Clifford and David Hiltz. So it's been 2 weeks since our last episode. The MIAA state playoffs came and went.
They're still going, just not for us.
They're still going, not for us. So there's, unfortunately, there's only one team that can hoist the state championship trophy. It wasn't the year for Westwood.
Yep.
So walk us through the lead up to the tournament and then the tournament game.
Yeah, sure. So our first round matchup was down in Old Rochester. So they were the 6th seed, we were the 11. We were coming off what I thought was a pretty good regular season finale against King Philip, we talked about last time. We went over to Walpole to scrimmage in the kind of in between the regular season and the postseason. Thought we looked good over there. We had a good week of practice leading up. You know, we felt pretty good going into the game. Scouted Old Rochester. We had a bunch of film on them. They're young, they're deep, they play really hard, but we thought it was a decent matchup for us. Unfortunately, on that night, it wasn't. You know, some of the things that we talked about that we knew we had to do in order to win, we just couldn't get done. And it wasn't for a lack of effort. You know, the girls really wanted it. We just couldn't put it together on a night, which is too bad when it's an elimination game. But so it was tough. We had a lead at halftime, felt pretty good. Didn't think we played very well. Knew we needed to improve on that in the second half, and weren't able to. And Old Rochester really took it to us in the last kind of 10 minutes of the game, and we just couldn't get over the hump. So again, fought really hard. Really proud of our group this year, but just didn't have it on that night.
Yep. And like we said, you know, only one team can go all the way. Old Rochester went on to win another game.
Yeah, they beat Falmouth at Falmouth, which is a good win for them. Falmouth had a great year. Just two, hardworking teams. It was a 2-point game, and then they lost to Hingham, who's on fire right now in the South Sectional semis just last night. So in our bracket, it'll be Pembroke and Hingham for the South Sectional and a trip to the Garden.
So it wraps up a really successful season. So the previous year, you had a little bit of an off year, first time in a while that you hadn't made the tournament.
Yep.
Came back, one of the first goals was to make the tournament. So lots of seniors on the team. Talk about the seniors coming together and then, when it was over, coming together as a team to celebrate their successes.
Yeah, it was just such a great group of kids, and a lot of them started with Coach Hiltz on the JV team their freshman year, so we'll give him his due credit for their development, but just great group of kids. We had our 4 captains, Fiona McGowan, Alex Finn, Riley Murray, and Caitlin Curtin, are just unbelievable kids, like really good basketball players, but you can't help but talk about their off the court stuff. And then we had our free agent pickup, Hannah Bean, coming back for senior year. Couldn't be happier about that, and it has really little to do with how good she is in the basketball court, and she's such a good player, but she was a huge addition to our locker room. She's a great leader, just a great kid, and I can't say enough good things about the senior class. It was an emotional locker room after that game. It was an emotional bus ride. It's been an emotional, days and weeks since. But one of the things that I feel really fortunate is that I work in the building, so I still get to see the girls, and it's kind of funny. Instead of like, hey, we'll see you in a couple hours, it's, hey, how are you? I haven't seen you in 5 days. So it feels a little weird. Yeah, no, I really do. It's only been a week, but you definitely feel that. So we have our banquet next week. We're really excited to especially celebrate that senior class, but also the whole team. But they were just great. I mean, you can go on and on about every single one of them, and I sort of did in the locker room after the game, but we'll save some of that for the banquet too.
That's great to hear. So David, welcome. Second time on Around the Hoop, first time this season.
Yep.
Give us a recap of the year that you had coaching the JV team and also assisting with the varsity team and just the program in general.
Yeah, it's cool. I think one of the nice things is having worked with Catherine now for 6 years, both as sort of a combined first year varsity assistant just with her, but then as JV the past 5. What's great is I think of the 12 that were on the team, 10 of them I coached. So what's great is, for the varsity, and I just start there, is it's great to be able to help them out at practice and at games, be on that varsity bench for input. And I go to that last game of just talking about it's great. We're looking at each other, going through everything. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? But having been able to build the relationship with 10 of those 12 girls at the JV level and get to see them on is a really, really cool thing. This year was very, very successful for us. We only had 1 loss early in the season, a tough one to Medfield by 3 points, and we were right there. We had one of the guards, Katie Kissel, had an unbelievable shot with time expiring. One of those inbounding the ball underneath the opposite basket, got a good look. It didn't fall for us, but really, really great. We had 5 sophomores, 6 freshmen, and to see the development of those sophomores from freshman year to sophomore year, and again, the hope is that this year with them, they developed even more and be able to send them on to Catherine. I'd have to say the highlight was we were at home versus Medway. I think it was our second to last home game, and Medway was good. They're very, very well coached, and we were down big most of the game, and we made a run at the end, and we were pressing. There were like 7 or 8 seconds left. Christine, one of my freshmen, managed to steal the ball, or she hit the winning shot. One of my sophomores managed to make the read, steal the ball, got it to Christine. Christine had the wherewithal to take 2 dribbles in, take and drained a shot, which was awesome. So it was really, really exciting. We went into overtime and ended up winning. But not only just the players on the floor, but just to see like the way that the bench had that emotion and to have that feeling, I think, at that level, with that level of intensity, just playing, watching, being on the bench, coaching is what it's all about. So it was a good season. It's always sad. I sort of, once the tournament ends for varsity, but my season ends, I sort of don't know what to do with myself. I sort of wander around and have too much free time, and that's always a sad thing. But it's great. I tell Catherine all the time, although growing up in Medfield, we had that rivalry with Westwood, and especially with girls basketball. But I'm just so fortunate to have ended up here. It's wonderful because they're all such great athletes, so it makes it so fun. But what makes it even better is just like they're good people. They're fun to be around. They're easy to coach, and it's really, really great having that opportunity year in and year out.
Yeah, and I had the benefit of having sharing the mic on announcing some games with your JV players as they would rotate in doing the camera work. They'd throw the headsets on, and they were definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so,
the unsung heroes of our film collection.
Absolutely,
varsity, so.
Absolutely. Talk about the rest of your coaching staff.
Yeah, sure. So we had 2 other varsity assistants this year. Lindsay Crook, who's also my cousin, to keep it in the family. She's been with us for 3 years now. It's been really great to see her development as a coach. I think when she first came on, it was like, yeah, I know basketball and, looking for something to do. Again, too much free time, and she'll tell you that too. But to see her kind of come into now, she's, stopping drills and jumping in and giving feedback, and just that sort of trust in herself is there, and the same with the girls. So it's been a lot of fun, and I just get to hang out with my cousin a bunch, so that's always good. In a period of my year that I don't really see much family. We'll start to pick that up in the spring, catch up with everybody. Sean Patterson is a Westwood graduate, class of 2013. She moved from Ohio, but played for 2 years here. And by chance, we happened to run into her in the fall. We were out for our captain's dinner. She actually happened to be our waitress, and she left with a December practice schedule and was here like 4 or 5 days a week all season. Couldn't be happier about that. She was such a great addition. She's just smart and positive. The girls loved her, and so that was great. So having those 2 around is awesome for the girls and for us. And then our freshman coach is Ronnie McNeil. He was with us for the 2014-2015 season. Went back to Brookline. He's now back for this year, and he's great. Did such a good job with the freshman team. Was also so invested in both of our teams. There were a lot of nights that he'd just sit on the bench for 3 games, which is a long night. I've been there, but we're so appreciative of all the work that he did for us this year too.
So we're going to have you back with Steve St. Martin a little bit later in the show. But again, I just want to congratulate both of you and the entire coaching staff for just a phenomenal year. It was always fun to be around the team. You took that team spirit and really standing up for each other, and the different events that you did off the court as well. Were just great to see.
Yeah, the team chemistry this year was fantastic. We always tell the girls, you're going to look back and not remember all the scores and all the games and all that. Obviously we want to win and be successful, but that's the same for coaches. And this season we're definitely going to look back on as a big highlight.
Yeah, and I think the seniors have certainly set a standard, which all of the girls in the program, from freshmen all the way through, and even in the youth programs, that they, looking in the stands, or many of the teams represented. So again, congratulations! Congratulations! Good luck on finding things to do and reconnecting with your family.
Yep.
So,
perfect.
So there you go. Joining us next in the studio is Steve St. Martin, joining Catherine Clifford. Welcome, Coach.
Good to see you.
So we just heard about the the finale of the girls program. Why don't you walk us through the MIA tournament for the boys?
Sure. We were fortunate enough to get the 4 seed. We had the same identical record with New Mission, and we won a coin flip to get the 4 seed. And our first game, we hosted O'Brien and who has probably the best player in the state on their team, and just some great pieces around. And Coach Brock does a great job with them, and we were able to get a win there in that first game at home, and then we were able to host the second game with the 4 seed against New Mission, where we fell to New Mission, who just went on last night to beat Whitman and Hanson overtime. Now they're going to play Tech Boston Saturday for the final for the South. So not the way we envisioned it happening, but you know, very proud of the season we had and the guys that you know, did a lot of things that we asked them to do and just tried their best. It wasn't in the cards that game.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at that game, I mean, it was some really nice things.
Right.
You know, there were some spurts, 4-point play to end the first quarter.
Right.
You felt that was a big momentum shift with Pat Riley.
Right.
You know, James McGowan came on strong in the second half, had 6 threes.
Right.
Some injuries in the game cost you?
It did, and I don't think that really cost us. I think the big thing was we just didn't execute the game plan like we talked about doing. We made a great run to tie the game up. I think James hit a 3. They called a timeout. I want to say it was like 19-19 maybe, or somewhere around that area. And the momentum really swung in our favor. And then the next play, we didn't execute defensively, and then we turned the ball over offensively, and then they scored again. So that's a 4-point swing just like that. And then next thing you know, you're fighting again from behind. But the key word, though, is the kids continue to fight. And it was, like I said, I can't be more proud of a team. Just every day being around them in practice, in the locker room, it was just such a quality team to be a part of. And you know, it really starts with the seniors and the groundwork that they laid down in passing the torch now on to the underclassmen of what the program stands for: the community, the love, the compassion, caring and playing for each other, all the things that we really abide by and believe in. So you're not always going to win everything that you do. It's just how you do it is more important to me, and eventually we'll be able to get some wins deeper into the tournament at some point. It'll happen. It has in the past, and it'll even be better at some point. But I can't be more proud of the way the kids are and the way the coaching staff is. It's just a great program to be a part of. And we've talked about that a lot. What matters most to us is those things, because there's so many coaches that talk and that are not coaching or stepping down or are just miserable right now because the culture in their program isn't great, and they're very frustrated with that. So for us to have such a culture of everybody trying the best they can for each other, it's just wonderful.
It also creates more intensity, more pressure with a great program,
Right.
but the support is there, right? So
Right.
I mean, you know, everybody wishes you well, wants both programs to go as far as they can. But you know, then there's disappointment, and I'm sure that the 3 seniors and an underclassmen-filled roster, you know, disappointed like everybody else.
Absolutely.
But they lost to a great team. And,
Oh, yeah.
and hats off to New Mission.
Absolutely.
You know.
Well coached. I've known that coach for a long time. Great guy. They ran some really great sets. I thought they did some really great things to get the ball into the post. And they had components that presented a challenge to us, or where we really had to be on our game in order to execute. And we just didn't do it that night, and they made us pay for it. And that's what the tournament is. It's the most rewarding, yet the most disappointing experience, because it takes away right on the end. It stops. I mean, you're at shoot around, or you haven't practiced the day before, and next thing you know, boom, it's over. And that's the beauty of it, but also the bittersweetness of it too, because now you're saying goodbye to seniors that have been a staple of the program, and again have been pillars of what we stand for. And at the same time, I always said this to the players, is none of us know what the next year is going to be. You know, I mean, we're hopeful that all of us, God willingly, come back healthy and happy and et cetera. But that life changes, people change, things change. You just never know what happens. And Owen Gaffney gave a great illustration of that before our first game in O'Brien in the locker room, talking about, you know, this is not the way he planned his senior year to be. And that's just a lesson for all of us to remember, is that, you know, we can sit there and think about next year, but you really have to learn how to invest in the moment, invest in what you have. And for us, we talk about how grateful we always are, because we know from other coaches, not just in basketball, but all other sports everywhere, that talk about how frustrating it is to be in an environment that's not positive. So, I mean, I can't be more grateful than I am. I'm really lucky to be able to do this.
Yeah, and again, the two programs coming together, it's, you just don't see it. So, this show, the banquet, the Riley Classic, the you name it, and you guys have the back-to-back games. Working with Matt Gillis to schedule those. Right. It just doesn't happen a lot.
No,
of other schools.
It doesn't, and it's great for us to be able to do these things. I mean, to plan the clinics and plan the stuff during the season, but all the stuff out of the season too, and seeing our players work together, and it's just a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun.
Yeah. So speaking of clinics, Coach Clifford, we just announced the clinic schedule for the summer.
Yep. We'll kind of go in order. So looking back a little bit, we did it last year too, but we did December and February clinics this year over vacation, just for our youngest age group, the kindergarten to third graders. I think their opportunities the WBA offers a ton for them, but just to give them a little extra basketball, we had pretty good numbers. The kids really enjoyed it. We always do a spring clinic. We'll do that again. It's going to be Sunday evenings. Usually we pick a few weeks in between April vacation and Memorial Day, so we're still working to fine tune that. But again, we'll have a kindergarten to third grade age group. We'll do a fourth to sixth grade age group. And one of the things that we talked about is just with the older kids, particularly that middle school, I guess it's probably 6th to 8th in the spring, is to do some more advanced things and to be able to work with them a little more closely, just to get that age group going a little bit more intensely, to do some high school level stuff, work on some shooting and scoring, and just sort of change the program a little bit. So we're looking into that and kind of trying to offer those opportunities and get those kids in the gym with us, which would be great. So that's the spring, and then the summer we'll do our 3 weeks like we usually do. We're going to kick it off on July 8th. We're actually going to go oldest to youngest this year. That's just the way things worked out with gym times and a lot of other factors. So July 8th through the 11th is Monday through Thursday. We'll go with the 7th to 9th graders. The next week is the week of July 15th. We'll do the 4th to 6th graders. And the week of the 22nd, we do 3 days with the 1st to 3rd graders, just for a couple hours in the afternoon. So all of that is up on the WBA website. It'll be up on our websites and social media and all that too. We'll make sure everything's linked up, but we're looking forward to that. Those are the most fun weeks of the year. They're
it's a lot
crazy,
of fun.
But the turnout's been great, and just, if you haven't sent your kids or they go somewhere else, they won't have more fun than they will with us, and they get to work with us and our coaching staffs, and our coaching staff at the camp is all of our players, and that's the best piece. We had one parent in the February clinics come up to us and say, "This is really great. Thanks for doing this, but the real gem in it is to be able to have the kids working with them," and it is. That's the best part. We talk about all the time. It's good for us to see our kids. It's good for our kids to interact with each other, but to go around and watch your kids teaching little kids what you try to teach them. One, it shows they listen a little bit, which is nice, but that part's really rewarding, and the summer's just a lot of fun. So we'll keep the WBA in communication about all that stuff, but we're looking forward to entering clinic season.
And then we'll also do the league too. We'll do one night a week. We'll do a middle school league, one night for the girls, one night for the boys, which is always great too. That's a lot of fun. We put them through drills, and then we break them into teams and play some games and stuff like that. So
so I mean, tremendous amounts of opportunity for the kids. I've heard from a lot of parents, and for parents that are just sending their kids to the clinics in the summer, show up a little bit early to pick up your kids and just watch some of the fun that you guys have. It's awesome. Some great prizes and
it's a blast.
Some intensity.
Our kids do a really good job.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, great season, lots of success throughout the regular season, on and off the court. Some injury bugs for both teams that you had to deal with, and again, other players step up and get opportunity. One quick shout out on the boys' side. I thought Jack Turgeon played a phenomenal game. I thought he really stepped up at the end of the season.
Great. He's been great. He's just such a great teammate, and I say this all the time, and I went up to him at the beginning of the year and I said, "Listen, I'm not sure how or if or when, if you are going to start with James or one of you will start and one not." And as a junior captain, he was great. He just said, "Coach, whatever the team needs to be successful, I'll do." You just can't ask for a better teammate than that. And again, I think that's the lesson that the seniors have passed on to what the team needs, and and some of the things that I'm super proud of that most people don't even realize are things like the fundraiser we did. Coach Scully helped organize that. Did a majority of the organization of the fundraiser we did with Newton Wellesley Hospital, And it just was just watching all the kids in there and the coming together and doing the things that they were doing, and it just, those are the things that make it so worthwhile. It makes it so special. I mean, it really is. It's not, the winning is obviously, we keep tracks of wins and losses, and I'm as competitive as anybody, but I don't want to coach in an environment that's selfish, because if it is, I couldn't survive in that environment.
That's not worth it. So why don't you tee up the coaches that are going to come in the next segment,
Sure.
The boys
Sure,
coaches.
we'll have freshman coach, Coach Matt Scully, his first year in the program, and then Coach Lee, who's now the JV coach. He was the freshman coach. Coach Kiley's first year with the varsity, and then Coach Librock, who's been here since I started. He started as a freshman coach and then matriculated his way up to be on the varsity squad. Coach Douglas was the JV coach, and now he's also on the varsity squad doing some work with us, but he's not being able to attend today. So, but just all these people have been great, and then you have people behind the scenes like Coach Pat Harris, who's just fantastic, does all the work with the website and the social media stuff, and he's just great at organizing scouting, off-season stuff. He just does so much. He just has 3 young ones, so it's really hard for him to get to practice and games and things like that anymore. And then we have another gentleman by the name of Coach Connor Joyce, who does a lot of our scouting too. So between Coach Harris, Coach Joyce, and Coach Kiley, we get a majority of the scouting done to be able to see people and see different teams. And as Coach can tell you, once the tournament comes around too, you're traveling from, you know, just down all the way down to Cape Cod to God knows where to see games and see people. And so we're very appreciative of all the work that all these people do.
Now,
I'll give you just a quick trivia question. Coach Joyce, when I was a student teacher at Braintree High School, he was in my class.
Very nice,
Wow.
Very nice tidbit.
The viewers want to know. They want to
Now,
know everything.
another viewer question. I'm sure that the switchboard is lighting up out there. Did any of your coaches wait on you? Did you give a tip in the form of, you know, come be one of my coaches?
No, I know that the girls coach.
Listen, worked out great for
yeah,
us.
It worked out really
so
great.
It's win-win.
Yeah.
No, that's great. So, Coach Clifford, I know while the basketball season has come to an end, the hockey season is still very much alive. You want to give a quick update for those who might have nothing to do this weekend?
Sure. So, our hockey teams are both still in, the boys and the girls. There's a good buzz around the school about it. The girls they're in the D2 quarterfinals. They're playing in a regional school, which is Algonquin and Hudson, I think, are listed, Neshoba and Sutton, and there's just a huge co-op out in Central Mass. They'll play them on Saturday night at 8 o'clock at the Warrior Arena in Brighton, which is where the Bruins practice. I've never been to that venue, so I'm excited to see it live. We wish the girls well there. They're coming off a big win over Natick. The boys team got a great come-from-behind win over Medfield this week. They were down 2-0 early, I think 6 minutes into the game, came back and won it 3-2, which was great. So they'll play Canton, who's a powerhouse right now, but I think they're feeling good, ready for the challenge. That game's Sunday at 1:45 down at Gallo and Bourne. And both teams hopefully can keep it going and get the den of the garden. That's the goal. Hopefully twice.
I just want to say thank God you went over all of that, because I would have messed it up. So
a lot of chatter about it in school. It's hard to miss.
No, that's great. And again, it just shows that the team's supporting each other, and we're one Westwood community.
Yeah, it was a great winter season.
So again, congratulations on a phenomenal season.
Thank you.
This is episode 10, our final episode and of season 3. So it'll be a little bit of a break, but then we'll be back. So
Sounds
again,
good.
thanks so much. We'll meet the boys' coaches, and then we'll call it a day.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Joining us in studio are the boys' coaches. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So we'll go around the horn, around the hoop here. We'll start with you, Dave. Quick intro for everybody at home. How long have you been with the program?
9 years. I'm an assistant varsity coach.
Awesome. And what were you before being a varsity assistant?
I was 5 years as the freshman coach, and then, as Steve said, I matriculated up to the assistant varsity coach.
And there's still some legend of you as the freshman coach that still lives on to this day with some of those players.
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You set a foundation that lives on in Westwood. Go around the horn.
Yeah, Patrick Lee. This is my 3rd year of the program. I did my first 2 years as the freshman coach, and this past year, first year as a JV coach.
Awesome. Matt?
Matt Scully. This is my first year with the program as the freshman coach.
Great.
Jack Kiley. First year helping out with varsity. Helped out with scouting too with Coach Harris and Coach Joyce.
That's great. So again, welcome, gentlemen. For first time on Around the Hoop. It's very exciting, and we're kind of wrapping up the season with a different look at the program. So anybody can answer these questions. Want to get a kind of a rundown of your season, whether it was the varsity, being a varsity assistant, whether it was JV, freshman. So anybody can take it and run with it.
Varsity?
It's varsity, really good season. I think that the season, and you don't see it in the games, we see it as coaches in the practices, just how hard the players committed themselves to practices, and that spills over into the game. But you know, in years past, you'd have some people who would really practice hard, not everybody. But this year we had 100%. Everybody was practicing hard, every practice. And it really turned out to be a great season, not only because of the record, but because the group really came together and they all get along really well. Really good group of young men.
How does Coach St. Martin break down responsibilities? Multiple coaches assisting him at the varsity level, leveraging the JV and the freshman coaches. How does he do that?
Well, Ryan Douglas, who's not here today, he has the defense. I have the offense, and Coach St. Martin basically has overall responsibility. During game time, Coach St. Martin takes responsibility for all the subs, who's going in, who's not. We remind him every now and then about who has 2 fouls and who he shouldn't be putting in, but he has responsibility from the game situation. During practice, typically Coach Douglas and I, what we did is we broke the team into 2 teams, a white team and a green team. Each day I took one team, he took the other team. We did that for a week and then we'd switch so that the players weren't always just hearing from one person. They'd be hearing from 3 different people about what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and what we should be doing.
That's great. Pat?
Yeah, the JV year, we kind of battled through a little bit of injury bug. We only had 12 guys on the team, and immediately a couple of guys got pulled up to varsity. So we had 10, then we had broken hand, sprained knee. Majority of my practices, we had only 8, 9 guys. So we did a lot of skill work, but it was tough to get a lot of 5-on-5. I mean, we practice with the freshman team, but they do their own thing and we do our own thing. At times we come together to get that 5-on-5 work. But overall, I mean, we didn't get the wins like we wanted or had planned, but kind of like varsity, the team always came ready to play. They never complained, whether it was off a loss or off a win. They came to practice the next day ready to go. Guys all got along great, and overall it's just a positive experience. And we won a couple down the stretch when we got some guys back, so it was good to see.
Any shout outs to any of the players that separated themselves, kind of became leaders among the JV team?
I mean, honestly, they all kind of blended well together. There were points when certain guys would step up in games, but then the next game somebody else may step up. In that situation, we kind of needed to find the person who was going to step up consistently, which is what I think they needed to figure out going forward in their career, which one of them is going to be the guy to step up and be that consistent leader.
How do you take what the varsity is doing and then apply that to your program?
Well, we as a staff, we meet before the year, we meet during the year multiple times, and Coach St. Martin does a great job with how he wants the defense run, how he wants the offense run, whatever it may be, and we try to incorporate the same plays, same style of defense, same rotations, how we're going to switch, everything from the varsity level to JV to freshman. Because throughout the course of the year, guys get pulled up. Now, again, like I said, we had 2 guys get pulled up right away, but then one kid, Mike Noon, got pulled up a month and a half into the season. And so that because we do the same system all the way through, it was an easier transition for him going from the JV to the varsity, and just makes it much smoother.
Yeah. Did you take all the credit for Michael's big performance and some of his early games where he had to play a lot?
Yeah, I did.
Was that all you?
It was. I mean, the other coaches like to claim a little bit of responsibility, but I had to talk with him before the game. Everything I taught him, he did. And,
except the things that he didn't do right, and that was
Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan Douglas kind of poked his head in there, but we won't get too much into that.
He's not here; he can't defend
exactly.
himself. Matt, give us a breakdown on the freshmen.
It was for me, for my first year in the program, you know, it was a lot to take in, all the different things and stuff like that. But I'll say, like, Coach St. Martin really, you know, gave me a lot of confidence to coach my team, you know, and I ran my own tryouts and picked my own team. And I think that, you know, he wanted me to, like, have that accountability so I could, like, carry that forth with my team. But, you know, the wins and losses, it wasn't a great year, but you know, I think we started out 0-4, 0-5, and then once we got our first win, we were 500 the rest of the season. So, you know, I give all those guys a lot of credit for, you know, sticking together. We had 4 different freshmen that made the JV or varsity teams, and I think that a lot of the guys probably grew up, you know, with these same kids that relied on some of those kids that moved up to be the scorers, and it took them a little while to figure out, you know, what roles to take on, but I give them a ton of credit for, you know, sticking together and sticking with it and letting me coach them. And, you know, I think that we ended up getting some really good wins when it came down to it. We had a triple overtime win against Hopkinton where one of the refs actually had to leave to go do the JV game that was in a different gym. And, you know, that was like the highlight of the season. But, you know, for them to get that moment together, I think was pretty great.
That's great. Any similar question to what I asked Pat? Any standouts, players that maybe improved dramatically or just had a leadership role?
I would say that Tommy Stapleton became our point guard. That really, once the ball was in his hands, he did a great job, and it was really hard for me to take him out. And I think, you know, throughout his career, playing with some of those other guys that moved up, he was never given that responsibility, and he really took it. But I'll say that, you know, I don't want to start listing 4 or 5 names, but there were some kids that really allowed me to coach them, allowed me to yell at them, and I knew that they could, you know, take that coaching and get better. So, you know, I want to thank, you know, the whole team for really letting me yell at them and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, oh, that's awesome. Jack?
Yeah, so like Coach Scully, this was my first year in the program. It was just it was a great year. I had a lot of fun with it. The players were great, coaches were great. When I started coaching, I really wanted to make sure I got all the X's and O's of the program down, make sure I was teaching the right things. And what made that real easy was how organized the practices were, how organized we were in games, and how hard the kids worked. And that led to a lot of our success, and it was a really fun season.
Were there any points of the season that stood out for you? Again, first year into the mix, and kind of seeing all of the intensity put into every practice, put into every drill. Did anything stand out for this program?
Well, I definitely thought the win to start the season over at BR, I thought that really set the tone for the season. We really just went in there and just played real tough, and really won us the game, made some big plays, did all the little things right, and that set the tone for the season. And there was a couple others, but I really think that one stands out.
Awesome. So now we're going to transition to a little bit of the fun stuff, although we had a little bit of fun with Coach Douglas already. Fun stories of the season. So we'll start with you, Dave. You know, what happened before a game? What would be some of the fun things that you might do from time to time?
Well, Coach Douglas and I usually have a wager on. Coach St. Martin usually says, "I'm not going to yell," and we do an over/under on. You know, is it going to be at the minute 30 or minute 15 into the game when he's going to start yelling? And that's one of the things that typically happens. Another one that also happens is that, you know, as every week at the end of, on Fridays, we as a staff all go out to the brick house. And so far, I think Coach Douglas hasn't paid for a meal in 2 or 3 years, so he's batting 1,000 on that one.
There was talk about potentially going to dinner after this episode, and
he didn't show.
He was sick.
Yeah. He always forgets his wallet. I don't know why.
Alligator arms. There you go. Very fun. So were you an under guy? Did you typically take the under, or did you go with the over?
I always took the under.
Yeah. And did you do better than 50%?
Oh yeah. Yes.
What are some other fun stories?
You know, well, I'd like to say I think Dave took the under every time and went 100%. I don't know about 50, but you know, like I said, we practiced the JV and freshmen together. So me and Coach Scully would, you know, after practice, before practice, kind of mess around and just have a good time. But one practice after doing a bunch of conditioning and different drills with the kids, we had done a drill where we're trying to get their vertical up, and they're jumping a bunch, and one of my kids couldn't hit the net, and so I grabbed Coach Scully. I said, Coach, go stand under the rim, put your hand up, show these guys how you can do it. And so he's doing it, and my team's all watching him. And as this happens, I go to the three-point line, time it, so when he turns around, I took a couple drills in, and he went up, and just dunked it right on his head. You know, all the kids are going crazy, and he's like, what just happened?
Gotta hide myself here.
Wow, impressive.
We also, with me and Coach Douglas, would play horse at the end of every varsity practice that I could make, and I think we played, I don't know, the last 3 years probably, say 50 times. He beat me maybe 5 of those 50, so I think I got a nice 45-5 record against him.
Possibly holding a grudge, and that's why maybe he wasn't paying, or
maybe that's why he didn't show up.
Could have been one of the reasons.
Maybe. Sometimes he'd just get up, say he's going to the bathroom, and not come back.
Yeah. Got to go to work.
Yeah. I got a call.
Yeah.
I got to go. Again, first year in the program. Any goofy moments?
I think just overall how Coach Leibrock has the ability to play good cop or bad cop to Coach St. Martin. You know, when Coach St. Martin's being nice to the guys, Dave will always find something to criticize him for. And you know, when Coach is screaming, he'll be the nice cop all of a sudden. So I mean, usually you're one or the other, but I mean, he's got an acting career, I think.
There you go. Or bad cop, worse cop, potentially.
I think some of the players would probably say bad cop, badder cop.
Badder cop. Jack, how about you? Any fun moments?
Yeah, like Coach Leibrock said, definitely Coach Douglas, and how he kind of just leaves himself open for Coach Leibrock just to have a field day on him.
I'll tell you, Coach Douglas, we're going to have to get him in here. I mean, the poor guy, he's at home sick, or is he? Maybe next year we'll have to start with him. Again, so two new coaches in the program first year. Again, returning coaches. Are all of you coming back next year?
Absolutely.
Not to put you on the spot there. That would have been awkward if one of you said no. And Coach Douglas, we're not sure now. Hopefully he doesn't get to watch this episode.
Right. Well, Mike, the pay raises we're getting, we got to come back.
Huge money.
Yeah.
So much money to go around. People will say, how do they have a staff of 8 guys for high school basketball? It's the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're kidding, by the way. It's absolutely not the money. Again, congratulations to all of you. It's really awesome to see the varsity program doing so well, but then coming in early and seeing the JV playing. And the freshmen, again, are a huge part of the program. One day you'll probably be sitting in the hot seat here. Coach Leibrock started as a freshman and worked his way up.
Yeah, I might matriculate my way right up there.
There you go. Or you can do what Jack did and just skip it all and go right to the assistant varsity coach. So any last words, closing remarks for Around the Hoop for season 3?
We're looking forward to next year. Yeah. I mean, we had a good year this year. We left some things on the table, and I think every player knows that. We're looking this would be the first time that Westwood ever won back-to-back TVLs, and I think that's probably number one on everybody's mind. And we know everybody's going to be gunning for us, but that's a good thing. So I think they're anxious, and we have a good group of players coming back.
Sounds great.
I just want to say that we mess around with Coach Douglas, who's not here a lot, but he's done a great job as the JVs.
Oh boy!
You don't have to be nice now.
What do you get, a Christmas card?
Nope.
No, Coach Douglas does a phenomenal job. He's been a great addition to the program for the years that he's been here. So again, congratulations on a great season. Welcome to the Westwood basketball community. Let's do this again. Let's get you guys in here. I think we can see the lighter side of what happens at Westwood High School. So again, thanks guys, and
Thanks,
have a great offseason.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
I want to thank all of you for joining us for the 3rd season of Around the Hoop. It's an absolute blast to do this. Not every Friday, but certainly many of the Fridays, being joined by Coach Clifford, St. Martin, a number of the players on both the boys and the girls staff, and the coaches. Today was a very fun addition to have the coaches in studio. Around the Hoop will be back next year. If you have gotten used to this type of broadcast, fear not, there's another show coming out. It's called Buckmaster Broadcast. It's 7 Westwood High School students, and it'll be coming to a computer near you soon, as well as aired on Westwood Media Center. Sound like a broken record, but I want to thank Westwood Media Center. They do a phenomenal job. I'm on the board, but I really feel like it's a family. Melinda Garfield as Executive Director, Maggie McGinnis and Connor Lynch. If you haven't been down to 15 Purwell Street, you're missing out. They are kind of the true backbone to Around the Hoop. So again, thank you very much. And for all of the coaches, all of the players, all of the Westwood basketball community, again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Around the Hoop.